Go Blue, everyone. A massive 5-star commit. Is it time for Sherrone Moore to take back the play calling? And the Michigan State preview all coming up next on Michigan Wolverines Live.
You guys should check out the Michigan Wolverine Live. They're out here doing great things, doing great podcasts, great live shows. They're really just doing their thing, help them blow up.
And help us blow up indeed. It is Michigan Wolverines Live, episode 171. My name is John Diadamo, and I'm going to take you through the next hour and a half or so. We are coming to you live from YouTube. We're coming to you from Twitch. We're coming to you from X. And if you're on your commute, maybe you miss an episode. Maybe you want to listen to some stuff again. You can go on to Spotify, Audible, Amazon, and Apple Podcast to listen to our content all the time. Check it out. Go ahead and hit that like button on your way in. Share this out with a friend. And of course, go ahead and super chat. We'll remind you throughout the episode because we're only going to highlight super chats and YouTube member comments. That's it. So if you want your comment or your question to get up on screen, give a super chat or be a YouTube member and we'll get your comments. For example, this one, Go Blue, YouTube member, says Go Blue. Scumbag Steve, Go Blue. So we really appreciate the members here. We got Moose and so on. And to help us introduce another of the Kenneth Grant trackers, we've got in the house here, host of the Thursday Call-In Show, and my co-host here, TJ in the house.
What up,
Big
man?
news, TJ. We have some light in this dark tunnel. There's light, buddy.
Hey,
I love it.
The big monster came through. BABALOLA is a Wolverine. If you guys were watching you wouldn't. Well, if you were a member, you might be watching our members only stream yesterday. We talked a bunch of interesting information. We were kind of on the BABALOLA situation in terms of when he's going to be dropping. We told everybody that the update was later that night. So, stay tuned, and we got him. So big commit. It could be the first of many big commits. So let's stay tuned. We have a recruiting segment. We're going to get into some goods. And then obviously we're going to get into this Michigan State game. And hopefully we can clown little brother.
Here it is. And not only little brother do we want to clown, we also want to clown the Ohio State program and the channel at the Voice of College Football. So, TJ, we are now, thanks to the support of the Saturday Postgame show and others, we are now only 300 away from catching Ohio State's YouTube channel at the Voice of College Football, and for the big fella to catch up to third base Ryan Day.
Yeah, if it was not for a stupid game simulation, we'd be at like 230 away. One of those game simulations got like 17,000 views and like 70 subscribers, but is what it is. We don't make excuses. We keep fighting. We keep climbing. We're 30 away from Ryan Day. He knows it. He feels the heat. I think he just called his collective and got another $5 million donated because he knows we're coming. So, yeah, we're going to get there. Appreciate everybody watching the show, subscribing, sharing. And, yeah, boys, we're 300 away. Let's get there. Help us beat Ohio State because at the end of the day, it's fuck those guys.
Fuck those guys. And Moose says 300. Dang, that's right. We're down to just 300 away. And we want to get into the twos. And eventually catch up to Ryan Day here. So let's help us make it happen. Don't just subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. If you have a friend who's into Michigan football or they just like quality football content, let them know that we're here and that we're twice. We go live 3 times a week and videos almost every single day on our network. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to get Ryan Day behind me because I want Miami to be our target after the Ohio State channel. So help us get there and let's let Miami be our next target.
Absolutely. You'll notice that all of the members that are current members are under here in the ticker. So if you see yourself That means you're a member. Thank you. If you don't see yourself, go ahead and join up and be a member. $2.99, and you can be a member, get the emojis and all of the great things that come with being a member. If you're at the $4.99 and higher, you get to join our hangouts. And we did just have one, as TJ mentioned, last night. It was really fun. And we had some people call in. We had the Bull call in. We had Nick call in.
We had Nick
and we
show
were
up
just
late.
hanging out. Yeah, Nick showed up late. And
had to go over everything again for Nick. We love Nick. It's okay.
Absolutely. But yeah, notice all the names here. This thing just keeps growing, and it's because of the support of everybody here that you see and beyond. So thank you all so much. And we have good news tonight. Yes, we have good news. After a lot of will he or won't he? Well, maybe he's going to Stanford. Well, maybe he's going to Auburn. Well, we have some breaking news that Andrew BABALOLA from Blue Valley Northwest, Overland Park, Kansas, 6'6", 280-pound offensive tackle, 5-star, one of the top in the nation. He has officially committed to Michigan, TJ.
Yeah, major get for the class. This is a difference maker. This kid has. There are scouts saying he has the highest ceiling of any tackle in the class. He is projected to be a first-round draft pick. This kid is a mauler. This kid does not take no shit. He is the epitome of smash football, and we just landed him. He is a cornerstone player. This is a major. I mean, it's just a fantastic addition. I know Darren, my boy Darren Talks Ball, was saying, can you play this weekend? You never know. Oh, he is visiting this weekend. I kind of forgot about that, but I just remembered it. He will be visiting for the Michigan State game, so you never know. You know, put a jersey on him, a helmet. You know, he could wear Evan Link's jersey. But I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, this is a great addition to the class, and it could be the first of a few major additions to the class coming up. But yeah, man, I mean, it couldn't be more exciting. And I know the fan base has got to be a little relieved here because we've been on this. I mean, like, we've all been following this recruitment since May, June.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some, you know, it was a Michigan Stanford battle, academics, and then here comes Auburn with their Louis bags. And then now it turned into an NIL battle, and Michigan stepped up and as we told you, you heard it here, Michigan's got his collective together. We told you this. We told you they were motivated. We told you that the donors were picking their game up. And this is not going to be the only indicator to prove that to you. There's going to be some other indicators down the road. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but there's some very promising things trending right now for Michigan. So, and we'll get into some of those. But at the end of the day, John, excellent good.
Yeah, this is awesome. And you see some of the physicality that he brings to the table, regardless of if he's being placed at like the right tackle or wherever he is on the field. You know, he's going to make an impact. And we all know that sometimes Michigan's O-line, you might have to, you know, rotate around a little bit. I mean, sometimes it takes, like, they move people to a couple different positions till they find the best one. But it does look like he would be an impact at either tackle. And even if he had to play a different position, you know, I think he'd hold his own. But it sounds like he's a tackle guy.
Yeah, I fully expect him to play tackle. I actually anticipate he will be a left tackle, but I agree with you, John. Sometimes you got to just let it play out in camp.
Yep.
And you know, it'll be right or left. I do think left,
Yeah.
but you just, you know, you got to let the kid play, and you'll find a spot. But yeah, no, I mean, this is the prototypical archetype right here for a tackle. Long arms, 34+ inch arms, 6'6". I mean, he's got the frame to add even more weight. I mean, this kid honestly should probably be about 325, you know, and he'll probably gain a good 20 pounds, 25 pounds in just one off season. So,
oh,
yeah.
sure. Oh, sure. And,
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think he's a great player. Obviously, you know, 247 Sports Composite. He's the #1 player in the entire state of Kansas, and the 4th offensive tackle in the nation, according to the composite, and 2nd in the nation, 247 Sports. He's the real deal, and he might even start. In fact, I'd say it's a pretty good shot he starts even his first year potentially. Normally that does not happen at Michigan. Normally it takes 2-3 years, sometimes longer, to get onto the field. He might start early.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of freshman offensive linemen, but you never know. I mean, some kids are special. I mean, Ruiz, Cesar Ruiz, he started his freshman year, and considering the potential exodus in the offseason, I don't know what's going to be available in terms of starting spots, but yeah, I mean, it's something that we'll have to monitor. But I mean, hey, he's in the class. He's going to be in the strength and conditioning program. He's a Wolverine, baby.
Yes, he is. So yeah, I guess I don't know if you have any knowledge of like what you think moved the needle enough. I mean, I would say, given the fact that Auburn has looked like ass, might have had something to do with it, even more so than Michigan in some cases. But then Michigan brings the academics too.
Of course. I mean, so the reality is this. We both look like ass. But Michigan does have the academic edge. But at the end of the day, the reality is this. If Michigan didn't come to play financially with NIL, he wouldn't be a Wolverine. And I will say this. When Grant Newsome and Sherrone visited him on the bye week, they closed. They closed the deal. So, they just did an excellent job closing. But it's also because, as we told you guys, there is a motivation with the donors, the collectives, and the administration right now. There's a very, very strong motivation with the entire athletic department in terms of getting their NIL corrected and competitive with the best, not just top 15 good, the best. They want to compete with the best in NIL. So, we'll see what they can do. There's a lot of good things happening behind the scenes right now, especially for football. So really good.
Absolutely. Congratulations to the coaching staff. You pulled this one. Great job. Could more be coming? I mean, we have kind of heard these rumblings. There's these fireworks and there's these things going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with, like, here's the thing. I feel like this is a big deal, and like people like let's who else is coming too? Is a wide receiver coming or whatever? I mean, we need to just stop and remember how hard it is for Michigan to pull 5-star players and all. And maybe just enjoy this for a minute.
I think the last 5-star Michigan got was Will Johnson.
I think so.
That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ohio State's like Jesus. But yeah, I mean, that just shows you the issue they've had with the collective and NIL the last few years, because they just have not been competitive in that space. This year is different. You look at our class, like, I think we are 8th in overall average for the class. So we are a top 10 average in the class, for the entire recruiting team rankings. So, I mean, Michigan's, they're stepping up, man. And they're doing a lot better. Obviously we're going to talk about some players we got to be aware of in the class, but I would say the next bit of information should get everybody pretty excited.
Yeah. And we're about to hit that, but I do want to thank Dave for gifting a Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership to Raj Minaj. So Raj Minaj, I hope you enjoy your 30 free days of Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership. Congratulations, and thanks to Dave for gifting that. Means a lot, because every membership, we can do so much more. Like, the more members we get, the more cool stuff we can do, and kind of propel this thing even further. So, got a lot in the lab, and we're appreciative of everybody for making this so successful already. Bleeding Blue, who's another YouTube member here at Michigan Channel, just dropped a 10. And he said, "What up, guys? Freaking pissed that I missed the members only stream last night. Did watch the replay. Had some good things to bring up, but I'll save it for Thursday night. Go Blue."
And we're ready for it. Yeah, I mean, again, the members only meeting or hangout, we dropped some good nuggets there. The replay will be up for 24 hours, and we're removing it. But yeah, I mean, if you guys are not a member, you're missing out, because from time to time we'll drop some goodies that we cannot say publicly.
Right. Yeah, some nuggets of info that we got to keep under wraps.
We have discussions there that we don't have publicly. That's the so.
And with all that said, let's talk about some things that we can start to discuss. And it's there's been a lot of there's been a lot of talk the last couple of days, a lot of chatter, TJ, both with media, on the boards, and even some private conversations about this guy, Bryce Underwood, who is an LSU commit, but there's some smoke that Michigan is in this, and that they are battling, and that they are upping their offer. And there's even a mystery wide receiver who might come with it. So walk us through this this news, TJ, and what's the latest here.
So this is really caught fire. And if you guys stick with us, we told you guys before the fireworks post was even posted this was occurring. That happened the very next day, actually. But what's interesting about this is I was listening to 97.1 this morning, and they had an update on the Bryce Underwood rumors. And Heather, who does the morning show with Jansen and my who I forgot the other guy's name, Costa. She's like, oh, well, there's a $4 million offer for Bryce Underwood, and whatever. Long story short, it's the rumors, right? And it's just so funny that now it's hitting more of a national stage, or at least more of a mainstream media stage. But yeah, I mean, this thing is trending. It's catching fire. Rivals had another update today about how there appears to be interest on Michigan's side, and it could get very interesting, I think was the quote. So here's where we are. Bryce Underwood is, as we have told you, Michigan has been applying the pressure for some time now in terms of starting, in terms of NIL. It is not just a one donor situation. It is a collective of donors situation. There is a lot of effort here in terms of donors and collective here in terms of trying to land Underwood. There's a lot happening. And as I've told you guys, like I'm not guaranteeing or promising anything, but what I can simply say is Michigan is going all in here. All in here. So that's great news. We'll see. One interesting tidbit is, and this also goes for another player we're going to discuss here, but Bryce Underwood, and I found this out today. I did not know this. Bryce Underwood has not visited LSU all year, all football season. He has not gone down to Baton Rouge for a single game this year. So this is the kid. This is the man of the hour. This is who they're trying to land. Number one in the nation. Number one quarterback.
All ones.
He if he would have came out, this is what has been said by scouts. If what's with that? Fuck KFC, bro. No, I'm just kidding. But hey, man. I'm just kidding. All right, but so the scouts have said that if he came out last year, he'd also be ranked number one in the nation. That's what type of player we're dealing with here. I mean, the word generational is used with Bryce Underwood. So it's something to be aware of. Here's what I can say. It's trending good. That's what I can say. So we'll see. We'll stay up to date with it. If Michigan can pull this off, it'd be huge. It'd be huge. And it would do a lot for the class, especially for some of the kids who might have a wandering eye right now, which we'll get into a little later. But yeah, it's a major development for Michigan. It's also, I just want to say this, regardless of the outcome, guys, major news that Michigan's playing ball like this. They're going after the number one player in the nation. They're going after the top quarterback in the country. Whether you swing and miss or not, you're going to have funds for the next guy. So like, whatever. I mean, it's great news for Michigan. There's some encouragement. There's some positivity for the outlook of the program.
Yeah. I think it is extremely great. I'm trying to imagine if I told myself a year ago that Michigan would be playing ball in NIL to the extent that Bryce Underwood is at least considering switching, I would be like, holy shit. Because I just NIL at that time, it was like, transformational, not transactional, and all that BS. Well, everybody's doing it, and you've got to play ball. And now Michigan is playing ball. And regardless of, look, like you said, if they get him, we're going live. We're going to be celebrating that whenever it is.
Yeah, we're having a party.
Absolutely. But
TJ's doing a beer run.
Yeah.
We're celebrating, dude.
Yeah,
That's major.
But look, I think it's like you said, reserving funds. So even like if it's even close to actually $4 million, that's a
know.
lot of funds that can be
Yeah.
used for recruiting in general.
Yeah, definitely. And and then to add to this situation is we have heard there's a wide receiver attached to this. It's not just Bryce Underwood they're going after. There's a wide receiver that they're trying to swing for. Now what I will share from the members hangout is I told them I did not have any intel or any insight on who this wide receiver was. Okay. But I know now. I know who the wide receiver is now. So the wide receiver that they are trying to pull along with Bryce Underwood is Derek Meadows. And Derek Meadows has also not visited LSU all fall. And they also there appears to be some optimism that things are trending in a good direction with Derek Meadows. So something to be aware of, something to be mindful of. Let's see where it goes.
Boom.
But I'll tell you this, John. If they land Bryce Underwood, they land Derek Meadows. We already have Andrew Marsh. You have Andrew Olesh, and you have Jasper Parker, who's playing fucking insane right now. If anyone has not seen what Jasper Parker's doing, look at his max preps stats. He's killing it. He's getting like 4 touchdowns a game. And you just got Andrew BABALOLA at left tackle. Tell you what, that's a pretty good foundation for the future. So, major and just so everyone knows also, they are aware of what is going to be lost in the draft this year. They are financially preparing themselves to be players in the portal. So again, I'm telling you, the Michigan Collective has really organized, and you're seeing it. And I'll tell you right now, if they can land this potential duo here, along with Andrew Marsh, who's a major player, and Andrew Olesh, who's an insane tight end. Yeah, I mean we can get now. Again, the coaching situation is one thing. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But at least for the immediate future, in terms of getting talent into the program, the boys are doing what they need to do. But we'll see. We'll see.
We will. And we do have some other news and some potential wandering eyes to cover. But we do want to thank Detective Loki for gifting a Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership to Motown Mateo. So Motown Mateo, congratulations on your 30 free days of Those Who Stay Will Be Champions. And go Blue. Appreciate Loki always coming through, not just with his own membership, but gifting other people's memberships so they can experience it too.
Yeah, no doubt. And thank you, Detective Loki, for continuously giving out the gifted membership. We greatly appreciate it.
And with that said, so we've kind of been chatting about these players off and on the last couple of weeks. Andrew Olesh and Ivan Taylor. And what do you think the latest is in terms of the potential for them to be considering other options here?
Because of the play on the field, you have players wandering eyes, right? So it's obviously a concern. Now, I do believe that if you land a Bryce Underwood, you get a JJ effect where the class will stay together. I do think that will happen. Right now, Andrew Olesh is looking to visit Penn State. Olesh is set to visit Penn State on November 2nd, and that's a concern. I'll be very honest. That's a concern. Now, granted, he did visit Alabama, and as we reported to everybody, we had this. Alabama was not. They felt they couldn't pull him from Michigan. Now we'll see what comes out of this Penn State visit. Hopefully, he goes to Penn State and he realizes he still wants to be a Michigan Wolverine, especially after Bryce Underwood commits. Right. That's what we could hope for there. So that's a big one, a major one we need to pay attention to because we do not want to lose Andrew Olesh. Like that is not a player you want to lose. Now, let me also qualify though. Our tight end room's pretty stacked. I mean, we got Brady Prescorn last year. Next year's tight end class for 2026 looks really good, and they're going to want to play with Bryce Underwood or Brady Hart. They're going to, like we have the guys coming in. So, honestly, if there was a position room where you could afford this kind of loss, you could, but I don't want to. I'm greedy. So I want Andrew Olesh to stay in the class. He's a great player.
Sure.
The next player is Ivan Taylor, safety. son of Ike Taylor. Right now, a report came out today that he is torn between Michigan and Alabama. Now, the good news is, and he also visited Alabama with Andrew Olesh. Now, the good news is, after the Alabama visit, he immediately called Michigan and say, "Hey, when can I come for a visit?" He will be there this weekend for the Michigan State game, so Michigan can do a great job of, I guess, closing again. But to me, and I don't have any information here, this is simply speculation on my part. When you say you're torn between two programs, and we're now starting to get down to signing day in about a month and a half.
Yep.
The price went up, son. You know what I mean? Like we're about to go into negotiation battles, what it sounds like to me, potentially. So we'll see. Especially, here's another thing that I think people need to be mindful of. The fact that maybe some recruits are going to get wind that Michigan's got some new money on the block. You could see players trying to play. You could potentially see players trying to up their current offers or anything like that. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, that is completely speculation on my end. I'm simply saying, just for like someone who's paid attention to this for a long time, when you have a player do this type of thing, you're essentially about to be getting into negotiations, is how that kind of goes. So it doesn't mean it is, but I'm just letting you know, like, my read on things, how I typically see it. That's kind of where we are. And then one thing on Andrew Marsh, because someone had a comment on Andrew Marsh. The one thing I can absolutely 110% confirm is that Andrew Marsh is extremely excited about Andrew Babalola. Now, about his visits, I don't know. We'll have to see what comes of the Washington visit. We'll have to see. But I do know he's very happy with the way the class has taken a step up. And I know for 100,000, 10%, okay, if we get Bryce Underwood, he's going to be really happy. It will matter. I can promise that. So we'll see. We'll see what the boys can do, and hopefully they can close here. I know Michigan feel good about it. They're working very hard on it. I know that.
Those of us who have studied business or been at business at all know that when somebody is, they have a quote, or a potential contract from maybe 2 or 3 different vendors, and they say something like, "I don't know, I'm torn." They are absolutely pushing those folks on both sides of the table to, in this case, it would be lowering the offer, lowering the cost. In this case, it's going to be, they want these schools to up the offer. They want Alabama and Michigan. Let's go up, all the way up, and let's see what the best offer is that they can get. So that's not a game that Michigan used to play. But with Andrew Marsh and others, like they needed to a bit, right? So now you're seeing the beginnings of Michigan willing to play ball as long as the player sees the value of what Michigan's going to bring to the table.
There's also a line they won't cross, aka Nate Marshall. You pull some shit like Nate Marshall did, Michigan will close its door. Like if you just flip on them and don't give them an opportunity, you're not going to get back in. Because Nate Marshall completely spun to Michigan after saying he was a Michigan man and gave the staff good vibes. Nate Marshall is not coming back. They have a very strict policy on players who do that type of stuff. They do not continue to reach out to them.
Yep. Tom Bouchard has just gifted, it looks like Seotas. Sorry if I butchered that. Seotas is now, you now have 30 free days of Those Who Stay Will Be Champions membership. Congratulations. Hit refresh and check out your new emojis, because you got a bunch. You've got the Crying Ryan Day. You've got the Ohio State, Michigan last 3 years of Michigan whooping that ass against that team down south. You've got everything going on there with the emojis. Enjoy that, and welcome to Those Who Stay. And appreciate Tom joining the Oprahs tonight. Tom, Loki, and Dave's all gifting memberships tonight. Really
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Throw some cheeseburgers at those Buckeyes. They love it.
Yeah. We got a cheeseburger emoji. Perfect for them. All right. But that's not all. We actually have some basketball recruiting news. As we get to the basketball season, you're going to start to hear a little bit of content on that front. We are the voice of college football. but basketball is a big deal too for Michigan. And there's 3 recruits right here that TJ is kind of noted as potentials here.
Yeah, I mean, the way Dusty May seems to be building this program, there's no way we're not going to cover basketball because he's very serious. And not only that, the boys look good. I don't know if anyone saw the highlights of the exhibition game, but they already look like they're kind of adopting Dusty's. Like they're already, I mean, listen, exhibition, we'll see. I want to see what this team looks like in November, but intrigued. And the boys look like they can shoot, but we'll see. But on to recruiting. Let's get into it. This is the future of Michigan basketball. Well, I'll hit on first, John. I'm hit on Oscar Goodman. This is the New Zealand power forward who's in the NBA Global Academy program. He's ranked number 93 in the nation. He is a power forward. He is 6'7", 225 pounds. This kid can shoot. He's a shooter. He's a stretch four. Things are trending extremely well here. I would actually say look for a commitment very soon. If anyone was following me on the socials, I threw a New Zealand flag out today, and that's because it looks pretty damn good. It looks, you can lock that in, boys. So we're looking good there with Oscar Goodman. And then the other player that we need to really keep our eyes on, and we brought this up before, but I have an update here, is Trey McKinney, the combo guard, number 20 in the nation, John. He was at that exhibition game. He's also going to be deciding his commitment. I believe it is November 9th. If it's not 9th, it's the 6th. I don't know why I keep flipping it up, but it's either the 9th or the 6th. It is trending very well. Michigan feels very good about this recruitment. Now, obviously, it's recruiting, one phone call away. We know the rules, but at the end of the day, this looks very strong for Michigan. This is another big get for the class. And then the last player we'll hit on is Xavier Staten, the center, who is ranked number 29 in the nation. And as it stands right now, Michigan is looking to have a 4-person class as it stands. And if they do pull this off, this would be another nice addition. He's a very strong player, and I would say Michigan's trending in a very good place for him. Not as I would put the other 2 players in the likely category. I put Xavier Staten in the it's trending well category. So, yeah, I mean, Dusty May's doing the damn thing, and Dusty May literally told us his blueprint. His blueprint was, I went to the donors. I did the nation tours to all the cities with all the donors. I rounded up all the money, and then once I did that, then I started recruiting. You're seeing this class come together within 1 month.
So when Sherrone, so just like when Sherrone Moore tweets, the eyes and the the cryptic tweet right before the commit is the flags of the foreign countries. TJ, is that your version of that? Like, watch out for a commit from this country.
Yeah, I like to get a little cryptic with my gifts sometimes. So there's another player that Michigan's looking at, a player out of Brazil. You know, if it looks like we landed him, I'll probably throw a Brazil flag. But so yeah, if there's a foreign player, we'll play that game. But I mean, I have my gifts I like to use. I like to use Belichick with his binoculars. If something's like, so for example, I'll give an in here. If I do the Belichick binoculars, it means pay attention. Okay, pay attention. If I do the Little John sipping of the tea, it pretty much means we're good. Like, things are good. Things are going real good. Like, just minding my business, but things are going good. So if I throw those things out there, be on the lookout. There's a reason why.
Yeah, the Belichick one gets me every time.
Oh, I love that
I'm
one.
like, this is great.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite one.
So watch this space for those players that we just mentioned in football and basketball. And of course, you can also, with the YouTube membership, you can stay on top of all the intel that we're putting in on the table. So I just put the link in to join and become a YouTube member. It's literally 3 tiers. So you can go big. You can go Connor Stalions espionage tier for $9.99 if you really want to support big. And that we have added input that you can actually help write the show a little bit, because we'll do like a call for content, and Connor Stalions members can send recommendations of what they might want to see, and it could make a future show. At $4.99, those who stay will be champions. That's the most popular tier, as you see from all of these people that you're seeing right now are all in the those who stay will be champions tier. That gets you access to the member hangout. That gets you access in addition to everything else, priority responses to comments. And then the $2.99, you get the emojis, you get the badge. It's all there with the leaders and best $2.99 tier. So wherever you're at, it's appreciated, as is sending a super chat. Because you send a super chat, then you're definitely going to get highlighted. And we're going to have, in just a couple of minutes, Ryan O'Blenis stop by, who is going to give the Michigan State preview from his perspective. And you can ask him a question, ask us a question, if you send a super chat. So go ahead and consider that, especially as we get closer to our MSU preview. So, TJ, on the back of the debacle, the clown show, the felony, whatever you want to call it, that just transpired the other day, the 21-7, which really, in my opinion, TJ, it was a lot worse than 21-7. Michigan caught some lucky breaks in that game to even keep it that close. And there was one, and I meant to get a screenshot, but I didn't. But those who are eagle-eyed viewers really watching the game close like we do, you might have seen that close to the end of the second quarter, remember that time when they scored a touchdown, the one touchdown? Well, Sherrone Moore had this play sheet, okay? And he was crossing off those plays. And what you saw was Kalel Mullings pound up the middle, inside zone. And what else did you see? You saw play action to Colston Loveland once the run opened up that play action opportunity. And lo and behold, they scored their one touchdown. And I'm wondering, TJ, the more I've thought about it, I've thought about this a lot. Like, why did he do that and then hand play calling back? And I'm thinking what he did there is he's like, this is how it's done. I'm giving you an example of how it's done. And now go forth and try to replicate instead of whatever the hell he was trying to do before. Is it time for Sherrone Moore, though, to just take back play calling duties now?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't we? I mean, our offense is one of the worst in the nation. You know, like we can't score. I think we're the third worst passing offense in the nation. We're up there with the academy schools for essentially only running the ball and not throwing the ball. Yeah, I mean, it's, in my opinion, if Sherrone wants to save his ass, and let me also stress this, I think he's coming back for another year. I don't think he's gone after 1 year. The buyout information, I wanted to actually, this is a great time to address this. On Saturday's postgame show, I said Sherrone Moore's buyout was $5 million. That may not have been accurate. So I got that information from an ESPN article. I was then shown a New York Times article that may contradict that information. So I don't necessarily know what exactly. So the New York Times article essentially said 75% of whatever is remaining on the contract would be owed in a buyout. So I don't know. There's two different sources with two different buyouts. I'm not quite positive what the true buyout is. So, but nevertheless, I do think Sherrone's going to get 1 more year. Especially, I'm going to tell you this right now. He lands Underwood, he's going to get he's getting another year. But it's very likely he'll get another year. So then it's going to come down to, what are the coaches you're going, like he needs to, and he needs to really evaluate his staff now. But in my opinion, he needs to do what is best for the program. You OC'd a national championship team, Sherrone. You made an adjustment against Penn State, Sherrone. Yep. Like, we've seen you actually do pretty good here. It's time to take over. Kirk, get back to the quarterback room. It was a good effort, son, but not good enough. So that's what I would do. And another coach to lean on, by the way, is Steve Kasula, our tight ends coach. He was actually formerly an offensive coordinator for UMass and Ferris State. So he has OC experience. I know you're like, I'm not saying he's the solution. I'm simply saying a former offensive coordinator. Kirk Campbell's not a former offensive coordinator.
Well, didn't he OC at Old Dominion for 2 years?
Maybe you're right. Maybe Old Dominion. Whatever, though. Steve
He didn't do well. He didn't do well there, as far as I recall.
Even so, though, Steve Kasula has more OC experience in terms of years. So I'm not saying he should be the OC. I'm saying Sherrone could potentially lean on him. Plus, I would also argue the tight end room is one of the better rooms.
Yeah.
So, they're actually performing. So something to think about. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Sherrone really needs to start taking more responsibility and not stop trusting some of your guys. You gotta, maybe cut off some of that delegation and start taking control again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's time. I think you're right. I think it's definitely time. I've been saying this the last couple of days. It's time for Kirk Campbell to get Josh Gaddis. In other words, he's going to be the offensive coordinator in name only. He's going to run the quarterback room just like Josh Gaddis ran the wide receiver room. But others are going to run the actual plays because it's just not working out. And I think it's got to be time. If it isn't, there was one post on one of the boards which I thought was very interesting, where they said, or maybe it was on Discord, but they said what Sherrone should do is run the play calling against Michigan State completely, but then have Kirk Campbell say, "Okay, I want you to write down in real time what plays you would have called." And then I'm gonna look at, and then we're gonna compare notes on Sunday. We're gonna have dinner. We're gonna have a nice dinner, and we're gonna, and we're gonna compare and talk about it. And maybe that's a way. I don't know if there's any salvaging it or not, but maybe that's a solution, at least for the short term, to just get through the next game. I think Moore needs to call this rivalry game for sure, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would not disagree. I think it's time for Sherrone to take more responsibility. I mean, at the end of the day, the season's really on the line here. You're risking not being bowl eligible.
Yep. Elisha with 3 in a row, the triple threat super chats, 3 in a row. Thank you so much for coming back here. Has been supporting pretty much every episode of our show all season. Any chances Barham, Hausman, Moore, I'm guessing Rodmore is what he means, come back?
I mean, maybe he's thinking Derek Moore.
It was one or the other.
Rodmore is 100% coming back. So Rodmore will 100% be back with Michigan. I think Barham, I don't think he's done enough. I think he's starting to come on. We saw last game. He's starting to show what he is as a player. I think it's potential he comes back. Hausman's going to be it could very well come down to, they do that NIL fund in January to retain players. It could very well come down to those type of decisions. If it's Derek Moore, by the way, no, I do not. I do not think Derek Moore would come back. But I'm curious how this fund's going to go, this next fund, because they are definitely going to try and retain guys. I know that. So we'll see.
Elisha with the 5, although Tuttle threw the ball 30 plus times and the wide receivers were more open this game than I have ever seen them, we should run more. Mullings needs 25 plus carries a game.
I don't think Tuttle's. So, this is actually a topic we should have hit on, John, is who should be our quarterback. I don't think Tuttle should be our quarterback. I think we should go back to Davis Warren. That said, yeah, I agree. Mullins should at least get 20 plus carries a game. I don't know about 25, but 20 plus. And then, and then hopefully Davis Warren or whoever. That's the thing, is we don't even know who the quarterback is. Sherrone Moore has not even announced who the quarterback's going to be this Saturday. So, make the defense pay. I know we haven't really seen it, but that's got to be some kind of strategy. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Mullins is no question a answer, but we probably need more than one answer.
For sure. I'm on the get Kalel Mullings as many carries as we can, while still, he can't play every single down. You throw Ben. Yeah, I want to see a little Ben Hall, which I've been saying all year. Where's my guy Ben Hall? Like, let's see a little bit of Ben Hall. All right.
Yeah,
just a couple of carries. Why not? At this point, what? Like, just try some shit out, man. Like,
Edwards fumbles the ball and Sherrone has a strict turnover policy, but it's like Edwards almost can do no wrong, man.
Yeah, it's very strange. And And now Elisha is sounds like disagreeing a little bit because he does not think that Kirk called a horrible. I don't think Kirk called it was pretty bad. I don't know. I just think Tuttle missing. Tuttle missing those open throws and turnovers killed us, and the lack of Mullings running it. Tuttle not executing was definitely a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would all agree the coaching staff would probably look a little better if we had a quarterback. I think the quarterback magnifies the situation, making everything making everything look a little worse than it really is, because now everything's trying to overcompensate, and then when you start overcompensating, things start looking even worse in terms of like players playing out of position, and then not only that, now you're getting to the morale factor of the team where the boys are not up to play, or they don't have the confidence they would typically have because they don't have the leader in the huddle. I mean, it really is just a compounding issue right now. So, I mean, I think that's potentially why you see Michigan going so aggressively for a recruit like Bryce Underwood, because they feel like this could be a multifaceted solution.
Yep, and we'll see how things go. I do hope to see I just want the best players to play. That's what I'm crying for. Like, the best players need to play, just like how Harbaugh had it. So I don't want to see a player out there just because he might have gotten promised something before the season. Like, it's do or die time. Like, this could be a 4-8 team if drastic action isn't taken. And whether it's Davis Warren who plays the best, whether it's Alex Orji, whether it's Jack Tuttle, whoever plays, in my opinion, needs to be who plays the best. Davis Warren has seemed like he might be the best of the worst options.
Yeah, I'm team Davis Warren right now, and that membership card is potentially half burnt already.
Yeah. And we're about to bring on our MSU guest. But we do want to remind everybody that the owner of this channel and this network, Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football, just wrote a book. It's called Disputed National Champions by Mark Rogers. Go to a fireplace, get a corncob pipe, crack this thing open, have a brew, and enjoy learning about some disputed national champions with Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. I think you might be interested to see what's said about the Michigan versus Nebraska situation. So enjoy that, and you can get it now. And without further ado, let's bring in Ryan. Thank you for waiting, Ryan. It's great to have you back on Voice of College Football Network from Spartans Illustrated. Ryan, thanks for coming back and joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, good to have you back. And this game here, obviously, it's back at the Big House this year. Michigan currently, I just checked BetMGM. It was favored by like 7, and now we're down to 4. But the preview here for Michigan State, 7:30 Eastern. It's a night game, the Big Ten Network. Ryan, give us a little bit on your side of, like, obviously the importance of this rivalry is everything. It's one of our top rivalries on both sides. But just like high level here, I mean, with the dynamics of both programs, like what are you kind of seeing in this game here, just from a like high level perspective?
Yeah, I think it's interesting this year, right? Both programs have new coaches. Obviously, Moore's been around the Michigan program for a while. Jonathan Smith and his staff are new to Michigan State, new to the area. But he was talking a lot this week about how he's educating not only himself on the rivalry, but his team. You got to remember there were 61 new players on this Michigan State roster this year. Not all of them grew up understanding this rivalry and knowing it. But within that program, it's still going to be taught. That's very important to Michigan State, as I know you guys are well aware of this rivalry and in-state bragging rights and the Paul Bunyan Trophy and all of that. And I think. I think the new coaching dynamic is something that's interesting to me because obviously this is also a very heated rivalry with the fan bases. and the history between it, even, the history between the schools going back to Michigan State even trying to become a university or entering the Big Ten. So, there's a lot of hate or, dislike for each other in that regard. Jonathan Smith's about as even keel of a guy as you're going to meet. Like the most down-to-earth college football coach that you'll see. He often doesn't get too animated, but I think this is something that's very important to him because even though he's coming over from Oregon State and he also played football at Oregon State, he's very aware of in-state rivalries, Civil War with Oregon State. So, it'll be interesting to see, but I do think that they're going to take that kind of stuff very serious. And, both teams are kind of, sitting there at 4-3, and this is an important game for both teams for the rest of the season and the trajectory and bowl eligibility and anything else that comes after that. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting matchup, and I think we're going to see it. I think what Michigan State players like to say is a 4-quarter fight, and I think both teams are going to be ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Michigan State's schedule, I mean, this is almost not only is it a rivalry, right? It's almost a must-win because, I mean, you guys are staring at Indiana and Illinois the next two games after. As we know, those are tough. Those are very tough opponents, especially what Indiana's playing. For you guys to get bowl eligible, then, I mean, I would say Purdue looks good, but Rutgers has been another tough team this year. So, I mean, I'm sure I guess the question I have, Ryan, is, you've seen how Michigan has played this year. Do you think Michigan State sees a little blood in the water and some opportunity?
I definitely, this Michigan State team is confident that they can beat anybody, even if it was Oregon and Ohio State. They simply don't have the talent to hang with those type of teams yet. But, in their mind, their thing is kind of the, respect everybody, fear none type thing. So they're definitely coming into this game thinking and knowing that they can win it. But at the same time, they know that Michigan has their backs against the wall. Michigan, is a heated rival. They're going to come in and give everything they got to the Spartans. Like you said, Michigan is still favored in this game, and it's, being played in the big house. Like it's in a night environment. It's still going to be tough. Yeah, I definitely think that Michigan State's coming in with some confidence, especially after a big win over a really solid, tough Iowa team that not a lot of people, gave MSU a chance to win. And obviously what's going on with Michigan's quarterback situation, the offense in general, and the way that the Michigan State defense played against a similarly built Iowa team that wants to run the football. Outside of one long run by Caleb Johnson, they really bottled him up, and he came into that game second in the country, in rushing yards. So I think defensive coordinator Joe Rossi is going to have a really good game plan, probably similar to what you saw against Iowa, but that front seven played really well, and they know that, they can stop the run. So, Michigan's probably going to have to make some plays in the passing game at some point, to win this game. And then the other thing that both teams have kind of struggled with this year are turnovers, right? So, it's also going to come down to which team can actually hold on to the ball.
Right.
And I would say impressive win against Iowa. And what was impressive about it is Iowa has traditionally had a very good defense under Phil Parker. And what we saw was more than 400 yards of total offense from Michigan State. And Aiden Childs, boy, Michigan wishes that we had a quarterback that was doing 22 for 30, 256 passing yards and a touchdown. What do you think that has gone into the improvement of the offense and Childs from last year to this year? I mean, we could say competent coaching can be one, but I'd love to hear just what's been happening as far as that improvement and what's kind of gone into it.
Yeah, definitely. The coaching does have a lot to do with it, and Childs has, big trust in that coaching staff. Obviously, he came over from Oregon State with Smith, with offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Brian Lindgren. Like, he trusts those guys to develop them. He knows. And I think most level-headed Michigan State fans understood that this year was going to be a lot of growing pains for Childs. He just turned 19 in September, right? He was like 18 when he started the first game or two this season. He only played 100 offensive snaps last year. But it was good to get that experience for him and get him that, that level to actually get him in the game against, FBS competition and get his feet wet. But really, this year is his first year as a full-time starter. So there was always going to be growing pains. I think Michigan State fans were frustrated with just how often he's turned the ball over. And, that has killed MSU this year in a couple of games that they probably had a chance to win, like Boston College. But at the same time, you see such flashes from him where he just makes great, incredible plays with his arms or his legs. And you just see that potential and that ceiling is so high. So I think that, what it is, it's just more experience, more game reps, the coaches adjusting, making him more comfortable. Like I said earlier, the team as a whole has over 60 new players on it. So I think the whole team's been gelling and getting better. And I think that bye week was huge for MSU to have some extra prep time for Iowa and to get guys rested and more healthy. And, I think, like I said, with Childs, it's just a matter of, one, holding on to the ball, and two, getting more game reps and experience for him because, he really does have potential that's off the charts. And, he has a skill set and the talent, and it's really with him about reining it in and holding on to the ball and, ending drives in the end zone. That's another thing MSU has struggled with this year is, getting into the end zone when they're in the red zone. Some of the turnovers have happened there. Last week they kicked school record 6 field goals, but they scored touchdowns when it mattered. And like you said, they had, I think it was the most yards against Iowa since Wisconsin in 2019 of total offense. So yeah, you really saw last week what happens when it does come together. Childs still threw one pick last week. He threw another that was almost intercepted. So it's still, the decision-making and the processing and stuff that you want to see with him. But you can also just see him get more comfortable, more confident as the season goes on. And, there's still going to be more turnovers. There's still going to be more mistakes. But, there's also probably going to be more good reads, more good decisions, more big plays from him as he gets more comfortable in there.
I mean, I guess let me ask you this. So obviously there's been some up and down play with Childs. I mean, do you feel like the fan base is still all in, or are they questioning a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, I think, most Michigan State fans who actually paid attention knew that there were going to be these kind of issues with him early. I do think there was some frustration with the amount of turnovers, some of the missed throws early, things like that. And Childs himself is his own biggest critic. After that first Florida Atlantic game, he didn't have a great game. Michigan State won. He came out to the post-game press conference and said, he put it all on his shoulders, the offensive struggles, and, he sets himself to a high standard, and he takes full responsibility when he doesn't play up to that. And, and he gets upset and he wants to work toward getting better. So it's definitely like, if you're a Michigan State fan this year, you have to take the good with the bad with him. You have to understand that, he's still very, very young. He has not played a ton of college football up until this point. He's getting obviously more and more experienced as the season goes on. But there's definitely been some frustrations, but I would say the majority of Michigan State fans, especially the ones who are, level-headed and understand this and are watching him grow week to week, they know that, they're still definitely riding with him and know that he can be very, very special here and have a great career.
Okay, and I just want to put a reminder out for our community. If you guys would like to ask Ryan a question, send us a super chat, and we will get that. We will ask the question to Ryan and get the answer to you guys. All right. So let's look at the Michigan offense versus Michigan offense versus defense, right, John?
We're switching it. Oh, yeah. So, before we go to that, I just wanted to ask, in addition to Childs, right? Okay. Who are some of the other, kind of weapons that we should know, kind of keep an eye out for?
Yeah, true freshman wide receiver Nick Marsh is having, a breakout year. He missed one game with injury and was a little banged up, but, he had a huge game against Maryland in week 2, won Big Ten Freshman of the Week. This past week against Iowa, he had 113 yards, something like that, 8 catches, won Big Ten Freshman of the Week again. He's definitely somebody that MSU is going to be looking to get involved, and he's going to be the big play guy. Montori Foster Jr. is the other wide receiver, the veteran out there. He's been having a pretty solid year. He'll make plays. Running backs, they'll split carries between Nate Carter and K'Ron Lynch-Adams. The offensive line and the running game have really struggled this year, but they looked really good against Iowa, who's a very physical team with usually a stout defensive front. And MSU just honestly out physicaled them and bullied them, and they need to bring that kind of momentum in against another tough Michigan run defense. They had that kind of success, and Jack Velling at tight end's another one. Michael Masunas is a tight end who got hurt recently, so you see more Brennan Parachek in there. That MSU will run some 2, even 3 tight end sets. Isaiah Johnson at wide receiver has been breaking out a little bit too. Jerron Glover, so they'll spread the ball around a little bit and get a lot of guys involved.
Hey, we are big fans of the 2-3 tight end sets. Yeah, tough physical. What I will say about MSU in this is we need to remember that Jonathan Smith, even last year, had at Oregon State, had a top 5 Pro Football Focus ranked O-line. So he knows how to run an O-line, and with a quarterback like Childs in there, it'll probably create some problems for a defense of Michigan that is talented, but it seems like Will Johnson is at least questionable in this game. So that's obviously a concern when you've got some of the weapons on the other side of the field. Jair Hill seems like he's stepped up, but Amir Hall, I'd like to see some more from Amir. But hey, anything could happen. It's a rivalry. You toss out the book anytime these two teams play each other. And now, TJ, we're on the other side of the coin. So Michigan State's defense versus Michigan's offense, with the musical chairs currently going on at the quarterback position. Ryan, do you see Michigan State's defense in a position to capitalize on some of the, let's just be charitable and say, uncertainty? I think that's putting it nicely. What's going on the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan State should definitely come into this week confident with the game plan because of the struggles that Michigan has at quarterback. They know that Michigan, wants to run the ball and has to run the ball at this point because they don't have somebody who can, be successful in the passing game. And again, like I said, I think it's very similar to the game plan that they came into with Iowa last week, where they had a lot of success. And, you're going to see a lot of players come in the box, and they're going to make Michigan beat them with the pass before they have to respect it. I think they're really going to be crowding the line of scrimmage again in the backfield and making things tough, for Mullings and Edwards and whoever else is getting the ball back there. I do think that in the Oregon game, you saw Michigan State get bullied. Their defensive line, Oregon, ran the ball all over them pretty much at will for much of the first half and early second half. But outside of that, Michigan State run defense has been very solid this year. So there's definitely a confidence, I would say, for MSU coming in, especially the way they were able to bottle up Caleb Johnson last week. Like I said, outside of that one big touchdown run he had, I think he had 13 carries for 23 yards.
Yeah, that's notable. Caleb Johnson, the people who know me know I kind of was sort of rooting for Iowa last year as a B team. Obviously nobody comes before Michigan, but if I was playing a team that I don't like, like Penn State, even though they got blown out, I was still rooting for Iowa in that one. But Caleb Johnson is the truth. So being able to contain him to one run is, I think that's a testament to what the defense has been able to do.
Most definitely.
TJ, you got anything? Yeah.
Well, I mean, so there's only 5 teams in FB1 football who has a worse passing offense than we do. So my question, I guess, to Ryan is, and we you did hit on it. I mean, do you think Michigan State is going to be able to, you say you have a solid run defense, but do you think the game plan for Michigan State is going to be able to work against Michigan at home under the lights? Do you think that Michigan State is built to, I guess, it's been 3 years of fairly dominating football, right? Do you think they're built to take on Michigan's run game this year?
I do. I do. First of all, I think Mullings is really good. And, Edwards has his moments. He's good too, but obviously he's had issues. I think the offensive line, when they get, when they're able to create space for them, those running backs will make plays, and I definitely think it's going to be, like a 12-round fight. Like Michigan's going to win some battles in the ground game, Michigan State's going to win some. Where it's not like I think one side's going to dominate the other. I do think that Michigan State is going to come in confident, like I said, and be able to stop the run and force Michigan to pass. Michigan State also is going to throw a lot of different guys into that defensive front. I think they played like 17 or 18 different guys in the front seven last week against Iowa. So they have a lot of different bodies that they can rotate in and get reps and keep guys healthy and fresh. And I think that's also really going to help them.
Yeah, I mean, this game, in my opinion, is actually a pivotal matchup for both coaches. Jonathan Smith, this could be a statement game, a program changing win potentially in terms of the direction of the in-state schools, right? And then you got Sherrone Moore here, kind of struggling out in the waters right now. And if he cannot beat the rival, which we've had a firm control of doing, is that a program defining loss? Because it might be, to be honest, looking at it from a Michigan fan's perspective, you could really lose the fan base with this one. So, I mean, I think this game, and it being a night game. So let me ask you this, Ryan. What's your thoughts on this being a night game? Do you think it's good for the rivalry? Do you think it's going to make the game even more intense? What's your perspective on this?
Well, Michigan State has played like a ridiculous amount of night games this year. I think they're going to have 7 total, which is the max they can have by the end of the year. So I think most fans, Michigan State fans, and Michigan State players were hoping that it'd actually be a daytime game. But with that said, the only downside to the night game from a fan perspective in the rivalry is I think, obviously that gives people all day to tailgate and drink and get rowdy. And, these two fan bases might not mix too well. But if things other than that, I don't think there's too much downside to it. One thing that Jonathan Smith said, I think that was a good point, that is the downside of these night games for the players is they have less time to recover. The next day, their timeline is kind of moved because, their bodies need more time to recover than what they would normally do, a walkthrough, light practice, or whatever it might be. They need that extra time to recover. I think nighttime environment in the big house under the lights, 110, 112,000 people, it's going to be a tough environment. And, Michigan State is, like you said, are they built for it? I think we're going to learn a lot about this team and about, Jonathan Smith and his staff and what, can they get up for this game? Like I was saying earlier, it's Smith's first time in the rivalry. How's he going to do that? Not a lot of head coaches at Michigan State have won their first game at against Michigan. Mel Tucker actually did, which is
we made him a rich man.
Yeah, right. We did. Two wins.
For a little
Kenneth Walker
for a time. For a time being, he was rich.
Yeah. So just for fun, so Michigan does have the fifth worst passing offense. People were asking who were worse. New Mexico State, Louisiana Monroe, Air Force, and Army. And Iowa is one spot ahead.
We're worse than Iowa, dude.
So MSU's defense has a shot here to make some statements.
To shut down the passing game. All right, John, don't give up on the bun game. We're gonna smash. We're gonna bring it.
Smash. Let's go. Yeah, if they actually get their head out of their ass and run Kalel Mullings like they should, then I'm with you. Smash.
I would say too, for Michigan fans, like you guys expected a step back, right? Losing all those players from the national championship team, losing Jim Harbaugh and all those coaches. I don't know if Michigan fans were expecting this big of a downgrade as it's been, but I think that people understood this team wasn't going to be like last year, but it's been so I don't know if you guys feel like it's way below par or way. Or how that works, but
I had 10-2. I thought there was going to be losses because it was a tough schedule. Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, okay, I see 2 losses in there. That's fair. But with the talent on this team, I think that that you don't lose to a Washington team that did the same thing Michigan did. Coaching changes, even more talent changes than Michigan had. At least Michigan kept most of the decent chunk of the defense and Colston Loveland on offense, and Miles Hinton. Washington, it kept like a couple of people tops and none of the NFL talent. Like, what the hell? Yeah, and Illinois, same thing. Like, you don't lose to a team like that. So I understand they were ranked, but like these were games that were extremely winnable. So that's my thing. I think it to answer your question, Ryan, for me, I expected a drop off, but this is disappointing even with that expectation built in. I'll let TJ take it.
Yeah, the expectation was compete for a Big Ten title and at least make the 12-team playoff. That was the expectation. It was not win another national title. It would have been nice, right? But we just wanted to make the college football playoff, 12-team playoff. But from what we've seen from week 1, red flags. I mean, this coaching staff looks completely out of it. We don't trust them. The coaching decisions have been so poor. The player personnel, the rotation of players, the schemes that they're running, especially Wink Martindale, and then obviously the offense, and then obviously the lack of player development and quarterback. We knew these were issues in the offseason. The coaching staff did not identify it as a true issue. Now we're in a freaking hole. And the fan base, the way I can best describe it, Ryan, is we got cold water thrown in our face. We're like, what the fuck, dude? Like what is this? Like, this is unacceptable. Like, we are aware there should have been a step back, but this is like we got pushed down a flight of stairs. We are in a rebuild when we were told that wasn't going to happen. So the fan base is very frustrated about that. And then
that definitely makes sense.
We had a question earlier about Jordan Marshall. Where's Jordan Marshall's still injured, so we probably won't see him yet either. Although I will say it'd be a very interesting game to see if Jaden Davis makes his debut. If the game potentially trends in a direction, it'd be interesting to see if they give him an opportunity in this game.
That would be one hell of a game to bring him in a big rivalry game at night like this. But hey, you got to see what you have at some point.
Well, we're about to go into round 2 of the quarterback carousel. We're about to be in round 2.
Yeah, we are. Our buddy GT, friend of the program, YouTube member, and throwing a 5 as I encourage everyone to do. If you want to ask Ryan a question or any of us a question, give a super chat. Ryan, how surprised are you with how much better your team is versus last year? I think it's a testament to how big of a deal good coaching is in college football. Yeah, good coaching. What's that? Can you let us know?
Yeah, no, I agree with GT here. I think that from the jump, there was never a question of like schematically how much more improved Michigan State was going to be in the Jonathan Smith era compared to the Mel Tucker era. Where that one was pretty much Mel Tucker's had one good season, and the rest of it, we're not even talking about all the off the field things. On the field was a mess. Illegal procedures. No use of motion, no creative play calling, defense that ranked dead last in the country in pass defense. DBs that would play 10 yards off of the wide receiver on every play. And so I think, how surprised am I that they're better? I would say that, so far Michigan State is more or less where I expected them to be after 7 games. I thought they would probably be around 4-3, 3-4 right now. My preseason prediction for them was 7-5. But I think what has surprised me is how cohesive the team has gotten. Like I've mentioned this a couple times now, but over 60 new players, all brand new coaches except for Courtney Hawkins, who was retained from the Mel Tucker staff, the wide receivers coach, so that there wasn't a bunch of transfers coming in, starting and playing. There wasn't a lot of continuity. I think that part has surprised me. But from a schematics standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a Jonathan Smith, when he was hired, he had that reputation as a program builder. When he went to Oregon State, I think they had won 1 game or 2 games the year before he got in. a few years later, he turned them into a 10-11 win team. So he had the results already. Like, you knew that was the exact kind of coach that Michigan State needed to hire, right? Was a program builder. And Michigan State left that program. Mel Tucker left that Michigan State program, in an absolute mess. Not only did he disgrace the university the way he left, and scandal, and everybody can make fun of it for that, but from a football perspective and the talent, the cupboard was left pretty bare, and and some of the players that did stay from the Tucker regime, it's nice to see them actually developed. You were talking about the offensive line earlier. Jim Maholchek, the offensive line coach, is one of the most highly regarded offensive line coaches in the country. Like, Michigan State did not have a lot of offensive talent this year. And then on top of that, they had multiple injuries early on, to the point where they had to start a true freshman one game or play true freshman. And, redshirt freshmen and stuff are starting now and getting meaningful playing time in it. But you are seeing meaningful development with them week to week. And I think that was lacking with the last regime. And, Brian Lindgren, he calls a good game, and Joe Rossi has been, really a revelation as defensive coordinator compared to, what the last regime had with Scotty Hazelton. And it's really is fun and nice to see. And you can see, I think if you're a Michigan State fan, again, you understand this year's about laying the foundation. It is a rebuild year. There's no questions about that. But the fact that right now they have a winning record, like, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. GT nailed it. Good coaching, and good things will happen. So with that said,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, we're kind of,
I don't even know what that is anymore.
We're struggle bussing. But I'll tell you what, we're on to our keys to the game and predictions, and kind of, we'll start with keys to the game, and Ryan, we always go with guest first on these. What does Michigan State need to do to pull off the victory at the Big House at night on Saturday?
It's pretty simple, but not turn the ball over. And Michigan, again, has had the same struggles, but, Michigan State has dealt with that with, I think Childs has thrown like 9 picks this year. They've also lost, I think, 6 fumbles. That's really, and those have a lot of times been game-changing moments. For the first time in forever, MSU was actually pretty competitive against Ohio State in that first half until those turnovers started piling up. And then, eventually in the second half, the talent gap was too wide and Ohio State ran away with it. But, so we know, what this game is kind of going to look like, with Michigan going to want to run the ball. They're probably not going to put it in the air that often to throw picks. But Michigan State probably is going to try to throw it around a bit. So Childs has to take care of the football, make good decisions, make good reads, throw it away when nothing's there. And, not only interceptions, but he's also, like I said, had the fumble issue. So he's got to tuck it and make sure that, he's hanging on to the ball, because those are game-changing things. And, I as you guys know, most of the time, the team that wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. So it's simple, but that's what I would say.
Yeah. So my keys of the game, John, is establish the run. Like, we have got to establish the run on Michigan State. Protect whatever quarterback, whoever it is, whoever our quarterback is, we have to protect him and give him an opportunity to go through his progressions and make plays outside of the running game. And then my third key to the game hits on Ryan's key of the game: win the turnover battle. I agree. I think this is actually going to be the deciding factor of the game. Whatever team decides to want the game more and not turn the ball over, I actually think will come out victorious. Those are my 3 keys of the game.
Yeah, so keys to the game for both teams. So for Michigan State to win, yes, turnovers, but also if Michigan State's defense stops the run, we're probably boned. So if you stop the run, you put 9 in the box, force Davis Warren, Alex Orji, Jack Tuttle, or whoever the hell they decide they're to wake up on the side of the bed, and we're going to put that quarterback in to start. If you force them to throw, I think it's going to be a long day for Michigan. For Michigan to win, I think Michigan has to find their identity again. Kalel Maulings, pound that rock until it doesn't work. And that's what in 2023, what was so I think one of the key drivers to that national championship was that they weren't worried about winning. Like they would rather win ugly than lose pretty. They would rather pound the rock 32 straight times against Penn State than be flashy and lose games that they shouldn't lose. And so I want to see that again. Like, let's stop worrying about at least for this game. Can we stop worrying about what what recruits are going to see? Like the pass game, not like worrying about, hey, we're not passing enough to make the recruits happy. Like, bro, we could go 4-8. How about let's beat Michigan State and let's just go from there. How about that? So Kalel Mullings, Colston Loveland, they got to be utilized. O-line, absolutely. I do think the O-line has done better. That was like one of the few bright spots, in my opinion. At times, I saw them getting good push, and specifically the holes that were created for Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards. Kalel Mullings obviously is able to exploit holes a little bit more. But the O-line was one of the few bright spots. So I think for both of those teams, like you guys both said, turnovers, absolutely. Whoever wins that battle is probably going to win. But Michigan needs to establish the run, and Michigan State needs to stop Michigan's run. I think those are whoever wins that battle of wills is probably winning the ball game. And with that said, prediction time. So we always try to predict who's going to win and what the points are going to be. So we'll start with Ryan. What's your prediction? Michigan State, Michigan.
Yeah, I do think this one's going to be a tight battle throughout, rivalry game, in the big house. I think that crowd, that energy is going to keep Michigan in it. And I think Michigan State will also be up to the challenge and be able to respond. I think, I can see this one being something like relatively low scoring, like 24-21, with Jonathan Kim winning it on a last-second field goal for Michigan State.
Interesting score. So I think this will also be, because it's a night game, the kids are going to be very amped up for this one. I think both teams know there's a lot on the line. I think the season trajectory really does hang on this game. So it's actually it's perfectly set. October night game, the alcohol is going to be flowing in the stands. The atmosphere is going to be lit. So I have the score 24-20 Michigan State.
Yeah.
Hate to say it, but
yeah,
I just don't trust our quarterback situation.
Yeah, and even most of the Michigan fans in here are going MSU. Moose is bucking the trend. He's repping the maize and blue. 24-20 Michigan. I'm gonna say 17-14 Michigan State. If Michigan pulls it out, I will be so happy. Hey, remember that time that Michigan beat USC and everyone predicted USC was going to win and then Michigan won? Hey, if that happens again, happy days. Okay? I would love for Moose to be the one that turns out to be right here and Michigan pulls off this win.
It'd be a fun post game.
Oh,
to beat Michigan State, it'd be a nice bright spot in a bit of a dark season so far.
For sure.
We'll see what the boys can do.
And with that said, Ryan, again, friend of the network, always welcome when we're talking MSU and when we're talking ball at the Voice of College Football. Ryan, if you could just give people a final thought and then where can they find you all over the internet?
Yeah. Final thought, I'm very interested to see how this game plays out. I do think that there's a real, kind of thought that this game is more important for Michigan at this juncture than it is for Michigan State, given, coming off the national championship and the expectations that you guys are talking about for this year, to, be fighting then for bowl eligibility if they lose this game. It's definitely something to monitor. I think for Michigan State, it'd be a huge win, huge program defining win, and to show what Michigan State can do under Jonathan Smith and the future trajectory. But I don't think that a loss, really does anything to bring down, his status of what he's building in the future either. But like you said, whoever wins this game, it's going to be a big win for that program. And I think it's going to be, like we said, a close one, a tough one throughout night game. I'm going to be there in the press box. It'll be a fun one to watch. And then, but yeah, you can, find all of our work at SpartansIllustrated.com or MichiganState.Rivals.com will also take you there, on the Rivals Network. You can follow us on Twitter at Spartans Rivals. You can follow me at Ryan O'Blennis. And yeah, we do a lot. We post a lot of content. So always something going on. And we are actually, I should mention this too. We're actually partnering with another Michigan outlet. I don't know if you guys know the Blue by 90 guys at all.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're actually doing. What's that?
Yeah, friends of the program. A bunch of them been on here.
So, we're actually doing a Rivals for a Cause thing with them, and we're raising money for the Children's Hospital. We're going to have live events at the Pretzel Bell. There's all kinds of online content going on, podcast stuff like that. So definitely, check that out on our website, on the Blue by 90 site, and stuff like that.
Nice.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Blue by 90 is awesome. So always supporting of anything that they're doing as well. So Jackson has put all of the various links. Jackson is always coming in the clutch here. So he's got all of your links. He's got Spartans Illustrated. So please go ahead and give Ryan a follow. Give Spartans Illustrated a follow. Check out the site. Get some of that enemy intel before Saturday's rivalry matchup. Ryan, thanks so much for stopping by again, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Well, another one in the books here, TJ. We do want to let everybody know about the content coming up here the rest of the week at Michigan at the Voice of College Football, both on Thursday and Saturday after the game. So we'll start with your call-in show this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, TJ.
Yeah, so this Thursday we got a special guest. It's Darren Graham, does Darren Talks Ball, also the host of our Big Ten Voice of College Football channel. Check him out there. Please subscribe to the Big Ten channel for the Voice of College Football. Yeah, definitely. It gives good analysis. I'm interested to get his take on things. I know he's been also fairly critical of the program, so we'll bring him on Thursday. Bring your questions. Come join us, and let's get ready for Hate Week. We should have brought that up. We didn't bring that up, but definitely Hate Week. So we'll embrace it, and we'll see what the boys. We'll get it going. Maybe, hopefully, we get some fireworks, or maybe some more smoke, and make that show a little bit more exciting. I told John, I was like, if Underwood commits Thursday, which, by the way, I'm not speculating, I'm just hypothetically.
Yeah.
John's going to come on and join us. Yeah, we'll do the damn thing. Join us for Thursday call and show. And then, of course, we got the post-game show. John, I'll let you tell the people about that.
Absolutely. So as a lot of you know, win or lose, TJ and I stand in the paint after the whatever we just watched, and we'll break the game down. And we'll take your super chats and your membership gifts, and then your calls. So we've had Michigan fans call in, we've had Ohio State fans call in, we've had Bama fans, USC fans, you name it. We probably had somebody call in, and we would encourage more fan bases to stop by and call in. Maybe another Michigan State person, win or lose, comes by.
I am waiting for some Michigan. Like, where are the Michigan State fans, bro? Like, is it because they're still, hiding? Like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Like, we don't have Michigan State fans in our comments. We don't have Michigan State fans. I think they're hiding.
They're hiding.
But I'm looking. It's gonna be funny if they do start winning. Right? If they do happen to start looking better, it's gonna be interesting to see these guys come out of the woodworks. But and it'll be like a running joke on here too, because they're nowhere to be found right now, and they don't call into the show. So I'm very curious for when we start getting the Michigan State fan base trickling in at some point.
And thanks, Jackson, for pointing out Indiana and Notre Dame fans also calling in.
And Alabama fans.
Yeah. This guy, the host of Alabama Crimson Tide Live and the Call-In Show. So with that said, TJ, any final thoughts for us on your end? And of course, any encouragement on getting you followed on social?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at TJ_Ronin. That's where I'm on the socials, talking ball. Dropping little gems here and there when I got them, but I typically save them for the show. But if I can drop a little cryptic fun stuff, I will. Yeah, give me a follow there. And then obviously I am here at Michigan Voice College Football.
Boom. All right, TJ. Well, we'll be rooting you on Thursday as always, and I'll see you for the post-game show.
All right, buddy. Go Blue.
Go Blue. And finally, it's down to me. Now, before I give my final thought and encouragement, we do want to remind everybody that every Tuesday night after our show, you can go over to the USC channel to watch Trojan Conquest Live at the USC channel, the Voice of College Football. It's Rutgers week. So you can learn what Matt Zemek and Mark Rogers think about Rutgers week and how USC matches up with Rutgers. That's coming up next at the USC channel at the Voice of College Football. Once again, you can get Disputed National Champions by Mark Rogers. Some very interesting material in there, including a foreword by Michigan Podcast's Steve Dace. So Steve Dace wrote the foreword. So if that's some encouragement to go get Mark's book, Disputed National Champions, it's out now on Amazon. My name's John Diadamo. I just took you through the last hour and a half. I do encourage everybody to consider following me at John Diadamo on X. I'm on there. I'm other places, but X is where I give most of my football takes. So GT has let us know that he has pre-ordered the book. The book is definitely a good read, and it's not super dense, which is nice. Like nice big text, which I like. I like the big text. So definitely check it out. And from there, yeah, my name is John Diadamo, and we're gonna leave things here tonight with a note from Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. Thanks everybody so much for super chatting, hitting the like button, and all the other things that you do to becoming members and everything else to support this community. And here's Mark to finish things off. Go Blue and good night, everybody.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.